Sean "Diddy" Combs, one of the most iconic and influential figures in hip-hop and the broader music industry, has found himself at the center of one of the most high-profile criminal cases of recent years. As he prepares to face a federal trial for serious allegations including sex trafficking, racketeering, and conspiracy, the court has granted a request from his legal team that might seem minor on the surface but holds deeper implications: permission to wear civilian clothing during his trial. Rather than the standard tan prison jumpsuit typically worn by inmates, Combs will appear in court in an approved wardrobe consisting of sweaters, button-down shirts, slacks, and laceless shoes. The decision, while seemingly cosmetic, is a strategic legal move often aimed at minimizing prejudice in the minds of jurors. The optics of a defendant's appearance can subtly influence how they are perceived by the court, and for a public figure like Combs, controlling that image is paramount. This ruling comes as Combs awaits trial on a series of disturbing and far-reaching federal charges. The prosecution alleges that over the span of years, Combs organized elaborate and coercive sex events, referred to as freak-offs, where women and sometimes men were lured or forced into participating in sexual acts, often under the influence of drugs, and frequently videotaped without consent. The alleged conduct paints a harrowing picture of a secretive predatory lifestyle masked by the glitz and glamour of celebrity. According to court documents, Combs leveraged his vast entertainment empire, including his label Bad Boy Entertainment, his media contacts, and his wealth, to procure and manipulate victims, who were often young and vulnerable. The indictment outlines an organized system that prosecutors say exploited women in the name of pleasure and power. Among the most prominent of the accusers is Cassandra Cassie Ventura, a singer and model who was in a long-term relationship with Combs and is identified in court documents as Victim 1. Ventura previously filed a civil lawsuit against Combs in 2023, which was settled just a day after being filed, but her role in the upcoming criminal trial is expected to be pivotal. Ventura has accused Combs of subjecting her to over a decade of physical, emotional, and sexual abuse, including rape and forced drug use. Prosecutors allege that her experiences are emblematic of a larger pattern of behavior Combs employed against multiple victims. Ventura is expected to testify publicly, bringing a deeply personal and potentially devastating narrative to the court. The trial is expected to last 8 to 10 weeks and is being held in the same New York federal courtroom that recently hosted the trial of Sam Bankman-Fried. While the proceedings are not televised due to federal court regulations, the media attention surrounding the case is already enormous. Public interest is not only driven by the shocking nature of the allegations, but also by Combs' celebrity status and the broader implications for the entertainment industry. In recent years, the music world has faced a reckoning over sexual misconduct, and this trial may represent another inflection point in that ongoing conversation. Combs has maintained his innocence throughout the legal process, pleading not guilty to all charges. His legal team has portrayed the prosecution's narrative as exaggerated and misleading, describing the so-called freak-offs as part of a consensual swinger lifestyle in which all participants were willing adults. They argue that the events, while perhaps unconventional or morally questionable to some, do not amount to criminal acts. As part of their strategy, the defense plans to use Ventura's unpublished memoir and prior statements to question the consistency and credibility of her allegations. However, they have been denied access to some of Ventura's more personal documents, including medical and psychological records, which could have supported their claims of bias or fabrication. One of the major pieces of evidence expected to be presented by the prosecution is a cache of videos allegedly showing sexual acts recorded during these freak-off sessions. The federal government has requested that these videos be sealed from public view, expressing concern for the privacy of the victims depicted. They argue that the videos are necessary for the jury but not for public consumption, citing similar precedents in cases involving sexual abuse. If allowed, these videos could serve as a powerful and disturbing piece of the prosecution's case, directly corroborating testimonies and undermining the defense's consent-based arguments. The public reaction to the trial is polarized. Supporters of Combs argue that the charges are part of a broader agenda to bring down powerful black men in entertainment, while critics see it as a long-overdue moment of accountability. For decades, Combs has represented success and innovation, transforming from a record executive into a fashion mogul, TV producer, and cultural icon. But his career has also been marked by controversy, with previous reports of violence, lawsuits, and rumors of misconduct. While none of those past incidents resulted in criminal charges, they now add a layer of context that prosecutors may use to suggest a pattern of behavior. The court's decision to allow Combs to dress in non-prison clothing is emblematic of the care with which both sides are approaching the optics of the trial. To some, it might appear as a privilege reserved for the wealthy and famous, reinforcing perceptions of a two-tiered justice system. Yet in practice, such requests are not uncommon and are often granted to avoid biasing jurors with visual cues that imply guilt. The defense clearly wants to present Combs not as an inmate but as a businessman and artist unfairly targeted by a media-fueled prosecution. As the trial date draws nearer, many are bracing for a spectacle that will likely dominate headlines and reignite debates about celebrity, accountability, and power. The #MeToo movement has already changed the cultural landscape, but the Diddy trial could be another watershed moment, especially if it results in a conviction. At stake is not just the freedom of a famous music producer, but the credibility of an entire industry's reckoning with its darkest corners. Regardless of the verdict, the Combs trial is already serving as a cautionary tale about the consequences of unchecked power and the complex intersection between celebrity culture and the justice system. With a court-approved wardrobe and a team of high-powered lawyers, Combs will walk into court on May 5 not just to defend his liberty, but perhaps also to confront the unraveling legacy of a career built on charisma, control, and controversy. The eyes of the world will be watching, not just to see what the evidence reveals, but to determine whether justice will be done when fame and alleged exploitation collide.